Welcome to Creative Conversations. I'm Roger Humphrey. In this episode, I'm pleased to welcome the Swiss virtuoso violinist Rachel Kolly. We talk about her background, her recordings, there are more than 10 of those, with a couple more on the way, her collaborations with pianist Christian Chamarel, and even give a brief shout out to her cat video. Before we begin, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's easy and free, and it helps the channel support the arts. Thanks.
Wait.
And we are welcoming to the show the wonderful violinist Rachel. Is it Kolly or Kolly?
Kolly. It's
Kolly.
actually French. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so nice to have you on the show. I have to admit right up front that I am a huge fan. I just absolutely am enchanted by the way you play.
Thank you.
I have to, so I'll probably make a total fool of myself if I haven't already.
No, you won't.
But I just fell in love with the way you play, particularly with your with the pianist Christian Chamarel.
Exactly. Yeah.
I expect the pianist to be wonderful, and he really is. But you play well together. That's something else entirely. That's on a different level, isn't it?
It is, and I'm very lucky because we've been playing together for the last 30 years.
Oh my
if you
goodness.
can imagine. Actually, we were forced to play together because I won a competition, one of the most important competition I was 12.
Oh my goodness.
And he also won a very important competition. We came from the same town. So we were actually forced to play together, like the two artists that won competition. And actually, our friendship developed much later when we were young adults. But this is true. It's a chemistry that is rare. You can play with friends and maybe the level is not as good, or you can play with incredible musicians, but you are not friends with. And with Christian, I have both. He's my best friend and he's incredibly good. He's a fantastic pianist. Also, his culture for operas, for literature. He's a huge fan of Flaubert, Balzac, Stendhal. So we have a lot to talk about.
That matters. If you're spending that much time together, yes. So I know that I'm a guitar guy.
Yeah.
And I have played quite a bit of chamber music over the years. And I have a friend who's a flutist that we've done duets. Well, I don't perform anymore, but I have some health issues. And I'm old.
No, you're not.
But
young at heart.
But she's a wonderful flutist, and I've worked with some wonderful musicians. But somehow she and I there's something special when we sit down to play, and I noticed that with you and Christian that there's that something special there. I think that sometimes you hear, in your case, the violinist, and sometimes you really notice the accompanist. But this is a situation where there's a third personality that seems to come out.
That's funny I agree with you. And it's really interesting what you are saying, because Christian, when he plays on his own as a solist, he has a totally different repertoire. So he's much more into Mozart, Mendelssohn, and early classical Beethoven. And I am more someone who feels at home with late Romantic or 20th century. And when we play together, it's actually this persona where we meet in the middle. So he would maybe not play as much 20th century music, and I probably would not play Schumann without him. So it's interesting. That being said, we have performed, you can imagine, over 30 years, a lot of repertoire. And I think since we played so much together on stage and very different composers, we have learned a lot from each other as well. And that's true that when we record, or when we are on stage, or when we rehearse, there is not a lot to say, to verbalize. So we feel each other.
It makes a big difference too. It's just that you have your own little language, You know, with you could a little look or a raised eyebrow or something like that, and it speaks volumes. So
Yeah.
I know that the I think the first thing that I heard you guys play together
Mhm.
was the interlude by Chasson. Oh my God, I
Ah.
and I have to tell you, I listened to that every night, I think, for probably 3 weeks. I just couldn't get it out of my brain. I just had to hear it. It's just such a lovely piece of music, and you play it so well. And so
Thank you.
so I corrupted it. I did an arrangement of it for guitar and flute, so
Oh,
so that I could play it too.
it's beautiful. It's also interesting that you mentioned that because chanson to me is probably the music I would have composed if I was a composer myself. I feel so at home with this music. I played, there is a CD that I recorded for Warner that was my first solo album as a soloist.
Uh-huh.
And it's not available right now because I'm out of rights for this recording, but it will be put back on streaming platforms and Spotify whatsoever. But that was my first CD that I wanted to record as a solist. That was chanson poem, incredible music, and also Isaïs music and all this realm, this world. And the concert by Chanson is very unusual. It's for four artists from a quartet, string quartet,
Uh-huh.
and a piano and a violin. So imagine to have three violins
Oh
for
my.
and it's incredibly powerful. If you have 3 minutes, just go and listen the one tiny movement in the middle of the concert. That's a piece that lasts 45 minutes. And he wrote one movement that is only 3 minutes, and it's one of the most beautiful things
I,
ever written.
I will listen to that tonight for sure. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate that a lot. So
Yeah.
so it is. It's so yeah. It's just now you play a Stradivari violin.
Yes, I
What a
do.
beautiful instrument. How did you come by that instrument?
Oh, it's a funny story. I was a solist for concerts in Toulouse, in France, south of France. And the first solo violin of the orchestra was playing this instrument. I was not playing it. I had a normal instrument, maybe not as powerful, not as good. And this violinist told me, "Oh, if you want during the concerts, you could actually play my Stradivarius." And I was honored, and I said, "Of
Yes.
course, I will immediately."
Gimme,
It
gimme.
was it was love at first sight, but then after the concert, I had to give it back. And a few years later, the owner of the Stradivarius called me saying that this instrument was available again. Nobody was playing it. And if I wanted, because he remembered me, if I wanted, I could come and grab it.
Oh,
So
how
I took a
wonderful.
plate. Sorry, I took a plane this afternoon, and I took the violin home with me.
Wow, how
Yeah,
nice. How lovely.
yeah, that's
That's yeah,
quite
and
funny.
it's such a oh my God, the sound and it's like a nice match between you and the instrument. I think that's always something too. It's just not just the violin, and it's not just the musician. It's that combination. If you click just right, the music just is so much better always.
Well, I have been playing it for quite some time now.
Really.
And that's also something that doesn't happen often. Usually, you have a nice instrument for 6 months, and then Santa Claus comes back and takes his present again. It's awful, and you cannot really develop a relationship with an instrument with just 3 months, 6 months. I've had a lot of instruments that were given for me for just short periods of time, and this one I've been playing since 2011.
Oh my, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
So,
Yeah,
and I
it's
play it every day.
yeah, I would too. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
So
very lucky. I'm
so
very grateful.
so you perform a lot. About how many concerts do you do a year, approximately?
Um, it has been fluctuating.
Uh huh.
Um, I don't know. I think it would be about 50. It's not that much. I had periods of my life when I became actually a mother. I was playing way more, and I was away very often. And also for family reasons, it's nice to not play as much. Also, when you can choose what you want to do and not say yes to everything.
Yes,
I had periods,
of
I guess,
course.
2006, 2007, 2008, and 9, where at times I had 4 different concerti per month, and yeah, that was intense. Now it's quieter, and it's also a nice balance with other things I want to do in my life. So it's
I
good.
I had that kind of a period in my life too for several years,
Mm.
and uh, and it's hard. And now that I don't perform, it's interesting that and I haven't since the pandemic. Oh, I still record things every once in a while and put
Uh-huh.
them on YouTube, but that's different. And so I don't travel, of course, and so. Um, I have my weekends free, and I don't know what to do with myself half the time.
No,
Because it's
I
we're
don't
so we're
believe it.
so we're so used to being gone from home on the weekends.
Yeah, true.
As musicians, we work nights and weekends, and it's people don't understand that. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's they come to hear us, thankfully, and but they don't realize that their night out is our night away from home, and so
It's
it's
true.
and it's okay. That's the life we've chosen, and we're grateful for it. But it's after many years, it's kind of nice to have a little more of a balance. So so
That
and
was often the discussion as well. Where do you want to go for holidays? And I would say, home, obviously, would be nice.
my couch.
Exactly.
That's funny. So, and you also you've got, by my count, about 10 albums out, 10 recordings,
I think I think so, yeah.
something like
Yes.
that.
Hmm.
And you're working on a new one for this year.
Two
Two
new
new
ones.
ones.
Yeah, yeah,
Talk to me.
yeah. Well, in June, we'll record with wonderful pianist Pallavi Mahidara. She's Indo-American, and
Okay.
we will record exclusively female composers.
Oh, wonderful.
So, because I spent quite a lot of time to listen to everything that was possible, or also learn new music, find some scores, try to go on eBay to actually get the only score available that you
Oh,
can
wow.
find, because it's not available anymore or
Uh
not
huh.
printed anymore, or calling the National Library in France to get some scores that are only there, things like this. And it will be 75 minutes of just pure genius by female composers. So it will be nice. I'm looking for it. I think we need to have those works in the core repertoire, like a Brahms sonata, or like what else, Beethoven or Schubert.
Of course.
They should be known, they should be played, and they belong to the best. And the second recording, it's Brahms violin concerto. So that will be something.
Well, you did the Brahms sonatas, right?
Right.
And that's a lovely album. I love it. I haven't heard it all, but I've heard some. I'll tell you another one that I really like too are the partitas by Bach.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a huge Bach fan. I don't play as much as I used to, and but I try to play Bach every day, and it's just there's just I'm so drawn to Bach, and Bach on the guitar to me is just like the best combination ever. So so listening to the sonatas was just a treat, and I'm more familiar with them with the guitar transcription, so it was kind of nice to hear them done on the violin the way they were intended. Because the phrasing is occasionally different and such. So
Yes,
and
that's
so
true.
now will you do the partitas as well sometime?
Yeah, the sonatas actually. Yes, I recorded these partitas, but the more I go, the less um, passionate I am about modern violins. I'd like to do a recording with a Baroque violin
Oh
and
yeah.
then really go to the end of it, because I've been practicing with Baroque bows, and it's very different. And I would like actually now to go one step further and do really Baroque music way more. This morning I was playing Passacaille by Biber
Oh
with
yeah,
the setup, with a Baroque bow, and it changes everything.
does it?
So yeah, I will do it for sure. And during COVID and the pandemic, it was interesting because I had on my YouTube channel one Bach a day, like many artists did. I was
Uh-huh.
recording a video of Bach, and there is a lot to do. So I could be in the lockdown for 3 months and have every day a piece by Bach to play, which was nice. I recorded also the Bach album during the pandemic, and it was interesting, but because it was in Germany, in Frankfurt, and there was nobody in the street. It was forbidden to be more than two people
Sure.
talking to each other, and there were no planes, no traffic, no cars. It was really surreal. Yeah, in the middle of the pandemic. Yeah.
And it was basically like that here in the States too. Everything
Yeah,
was
that's
locked
right.
down, and so we were like that all over the place. We had people here complaining that our government shut us down. And that, God, open a paper. Every government has shut
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's funny. So when you record, number one, when you record, do you decide what you want to record, or is that a request from a label, or how does that work?
I've always been very lucky. My first album on Warner Classics was Isaïe solo sonatas. I wanted to be known as the Isaïe girl. I met with the family. I met the grandson. I went to his house. I looked at manuscripts. I was so completely obsessed and passionate about this music. And that was my first album. And I always thought, well, we live in a world where there are too many recordings. And I only want to record things where I know I have something to add. And it's not necessarily the pieces I play the most, I don't know, but it's certainly not the pieces I love. What I mean is simply there is a difference between loving something and being good at playing it.
Yes.
So I might love Mozart Requiem, but I'm not really amazing in Mozart's music. So there is always a difference. So for me, to record something, it was only if I felt that I had something to add to the recordings. So that was a bit my reflections, and that's probably why I have this niche repertoire. Second album was French music and Belgian music. The third one that is not available right now, but it will be again, it was American music. It was called American Serenade
Okay.
on Warner as well, with beautiful Bernstein Serenade, Waxman and Gershwin adaptation. And I absolutely loved to record this music. And then I guess I opened up a bit. I feel now at home after all these years with Bach. So I allow myself to actually record it. I would have not done it when I was 20.
I think it's difficult. People don't realize sometimes. I've been asked, to perform, if I would perform some of the more standard repertoire for the guitar, and there's a lot of it that I've just sort of went, everybody does it, and I don't have a thing to say. I could spit the notes out, and I could try to sound like this person, or I could be influenced by that person, but I wouldn't have my own voice, or I wouldn't have, it's for me it was difficult. So there's a lot of music that a lot of guitar players play that I don't play for that very reason.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just I always look for, and I think it's one of the reasons why I was always drawn more towards Renaissance and Baroque music.
Yeah.
It's number one, the guitar is a smaller sound, and that music is smaller. The sound of it is,
Yeah, it is.
it's
Understand.
yeah, and so there was that, but also it was not as well known, and so I just really felt like I could get in there and kind of get my hands dirty and figure stuff out myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I understand.
so now
But
do you use the same producers, or do you use different producers when you record?
I've used the same producers for the last, I think, no, 4 CDs, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Um, there are amazing people working in Berlin, and it's called Nordklang. And I don't know how they do for the concentration because the Bach album, that was a good example, are recorded for 24 hours. So 12 hours one day and 12 hours the second day. And till the last take, the last thing, she was with me full on hearing everything and a really incredible artistic also commenter, if I might say. So yeah, I've been enjoying. I love recordings. I love to record it. So the moment where you can really go to the end with your vision, with your. So I tend to actually record by tiny takes. I'm not someone who record, the first movement of the Brahms sonata, first sonata is 15 minutes. The question for me would never be, let's play it the full 15 minutes. I'm more, let's do the first line. That's it. And concentrate on that. So, and Christian, by the way, is the opposite. It would actually feel better by just having these big takes. And yeah, we meet in the middle again.
I know that with modern recording techniques and the new equipment, it makes that type of recording so much easier. When I first started recording, and there were dinosaurs roaming it. but when I first started recording, it was all analog. Of course, it was all on tape,
Yeah.
and so the whole process, everything was different. You had to be careful. The levels were more difficult to achieve because, particularly with the guitar, because if you played too loud, then it would peak the meters, and if you played too soft, then you could hear line hiss, and it was just
Yes.
and there's things that you can do with digital that you just couldn't do with analog, and so I know that there's an argument. People will say that they like the sound of analog better, and
Yeah.
perhaps, but I'll tell you what, if you got to make the product, it's a lot more fun, and artistically, I think it's better. Because you can do the things that you're talking about, where artistically, when you're talking about analog and you physically have to cut a tape and put it back together again, man, that really kind of interrupts the flow. It's something awful. So yeah, that's pretty good. And to find a producer that you can really get a hold of like that, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I have an anecdote for you. I was working, I think that was American Serenade for Warner with Daniel Zalay. I think he won a Grammy Award for Best Producer. And I was working with him on that CD. And I had a lot of cuts. And I think that for being a soloist with orchestra, I probably ended up on that CD with 600 cuts, something like this, which to me was a lot, but that's how he worked. And we were on the same page, wanting the best of the best of the best every single time. But he then told me, oh, don't worry, 600 is not a lot. And I said, what? Why? How is it not a lot? He said, I'm working right now on a recording by a famous singer, and we are at 2,900 cuts.
Wow.
And he's famous, and he sings beautifully in live. I mean, he can do everything, but he was so particular about, a consonant, the way it was pronounced. They had to change even in one syllable. They had to cut things inside it. I said, oh man, 2,900 for 60 minutes of music. That's a lot.
That's a producer and an editor who really work hard. That's a lot of work.
That's a lot.
That's wonderful. I don't think people who just listen to music, I don't think they understand how complicated the process is. I used to tell my students years ago when I was teaching colleges that I said it's making art very often is a lot like making sausage. Nobody wants to know what goes into it. They just want to enjoy it, the final product.
But I have this image. I love to compare music to that. I don't know if you had the chance to visit Firenze, Florence.
No.
In Italy. And there is this incredible basilicum that when you arrive, you see, and it's with tiny pieces of marbles everywhere. They're pink, green, white, and the people who worked on it cut these tiny pieces of marble for decoration and for beauty purpose. And of course, you don't see any more the details when it arrived at 2 meters or 3 meters.
Sure.
And then you know that the basilicum is still 30 meters high and no way you can see anything. And they still did it. They still took care of this beauty, of this perfection. And the people that are capable of doing that, I know that also when I practice in my violin of every day, let's say, I go to details, and I don't know who can notice that, but I always have the hope that it gives this general impression of beauty, or that it's convincing and people don't know why. But I'm actually a very detailed I'm detailed in my practice. I can tell you which vibrato on which note at what frequency, if it's the speed of the amplitude, why, because of the chord, if it's a third or a fifth, the vibrato is different. And yeah, I know. I have these dialogues only with myself. I cannot talk about that with anyone else.
But it shows. It shows when we hear you play. The beauty of the music. I don't know how to explain this to people. That sometimes that the beauty that you're talking about with the mosaic, you get up close and you see that beauty, but when you stand back, you see a different beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's just, there's something absolutely lovely about your music, and I'm such a fan. Can you tell?
Oh, thank you. This is so nice.
And you do a lot of YouTube videos. That's something that you've embraced quite a bit?
Well, not really, but I have quite a I have some followers for a big misunderstanding, and I will let you know why. I have more than 5,000 followers on my YouTube channel because one day I posted a video of my cat. And wait, because it is even better. During the pandemic, I posted one video a day, and I maybe gained 50 followers in 3 months. And I was like, oh, damn, what more can I do than this? And then, I had professionally made videos and things that are beautiful, and they are not watched and they don't find their audience. And then you promote it on Instagram, and still people don't go because of Instagram to YouTube. I don't know. But then one day, just for family reasons, I posted a very long cat video that is 11 minutes. And I rescued a baby tiny kitten. He was 2 days old.
Oh my.
And of course, and you can see him grow into this beautiful cat. And I've put music, I edited, and it's a funny video because he meets the 2 rabbits that we have, the cat, the other cat, the dog. We had quite a menagerie, quite a zoo at home. And I never heard again about this video. It was watched maybe 3 times, whatever. And 6 months later, I received a YouTube notification to say, congratulations, your video has reached now 500,000 views. And I said, wow, my Bach video is finally, my Brahms or whatever. I was so proud. And then I looked with disgust and horror that it was actually my cat video that made so many. And then I said, okay, I should play the violin with my cat next to me, which I've never done. People keep on saying, I post a video, like recently I posted a Brahms video, and someone commented, where's the cat? And I was like, oh, come on. Is he dead? No. So yeah.
That's funny. That's kind of sad, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
It is very funny. But yeah.
Well, Rachel, on that funny note, I think we're about out of time, and I'm going to say goodbye. And I'm so sorry that it went by so fast.
No worries. It was a pleasure.
Now, you're going to be in the United States in November to play at Carnegie Hall. Is that correct?
It is correct. I'm still doing finalization about visa and things like this, because it
Uh-huh.
became more complicated now.
Yes.
But it should all be fine. And anyway, it will be posted on the social medias. But yes, and I will probably play also in Chicago at the same time. So
Oh, that'd be
yeah.
wonderful. That'd be wonderful. So, well, thank you so much. I so appreciate you taking the time, and I love your stories. I love your music.
Thank you.
I hope you'll consider coming back on the show sometime soon.
Yes, I would.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
I want to thank Rachel for taking the time to talk with me. I want to thank you too. If you would like to get updates on any of my guests' future appearances or projects, please subscribe to my blog at www.rogerhumphrey.com. Oh, and a free and easy way to help this podcast and support the arts at the same time is to simply tell your friends to join you right here at Creative Conversations with Roger Humphrey.